Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We are back with another episode of... No, it's not the Rumour Mill. It is just the One Leeds video, everybody. Yes, that is right. It's over. It is over after all this time. The Rumour Mill is done, and we'll be back, obviously, with all that good stuff very, very soon, once again, to delve into the summer transfer rumours and all that sort of good stuff. But Leeds United are in business mode. The season starts in a strange sort of way for the second phase this evening against Bristol City. I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your ratings on the transfer window. Fancy a little bit of bonus content, everybody? We will be filming a Generation Leeds today on the Patreon account. We also have YouTube memberships open. Shout out to Lee, shout out to Steve, and shout out to Alfie for joining on yesterday's stream. Please slap a like on the video, everybody. Yes, I'm still asking to slap likes on things, but let's get into the summer transfer window analysis. Evening, Connor. Morning, Connor. Let's keep the pressure on tonight. Sean says, looks like we're in a very strong position with money generated from a loaned out Rocket, Cine, etc. Moving on, unneeded players, old or not good enough. Tashin says, thought you were sat on a beach for a moment there. Morning, Connor. I'm busy working on a document, but always listening to you. Fingers crossed for 3 points tonight. Thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate that. West Aussie Leeds says, Cardiff fans are unhappy, along with Wrexham, Swansea and Newport, that Leeds are now Wales' biggest club. Yeah, it feels like that at this moment in time, doesn't it? It really does feel like that. The lamp looks like some kind of sunset. Loft says, can Roberts play tonight? He can't, mate. He is cup tied. So Reese says, morning, buddy. Think we needed more in the window. What you thinking? So I just want to get over to you guys just the dealings that we've done this window. So out, we saw Sean McGurk go late on last night. Ian Poveda go to Sheffield Wednesday, of course, last night as well. An interesting move for him. I thought it was going to be Birmingham. Jed Spence was recalled. We heard last night a little bit in more detail from The Athletic, a snippet from them that he was turning up late to training and his discipline wasn't great and all that stuff. So, yeah, it didn't sound amazing. Yelder, who I'd have loved at some point to have seen him get a little bit more of a chance at Leeds United. He didn't. Is what it is. We move on. Yelder left the club. I think I'd have been really vexed, really vexed if Leeds will have sort of managed to, get rid of Yelder and brought in Paul Dummett. That just made no sense to me. Ayling, obviously moving on, a club legend, really. Darko JB, one of those that hasn't worked again. Costa, Helder Costa, which I think a lot of people miss. Lewis Bate and Mullen, and the players that have come in, obviously Connor Roberts. Now, I guess it's good business in a sense for Leeds United. And the reason I mention that is because it clears the wages from the balance sheet, which I think is massive. I think from an accounting perspective, it gives us a lot when it comes to those summer months as well, being able to really financially manoeuvre, even if we are still in the Championship. I think that's and I'm not saying we will be, by the way. I'm not saying that, but if we're in the Premier League as well, Leeds been able to manoeuvre in and around what we've now seen is a real positive. Wages freed up, players going out. I'm really annoyed that sort of like the Sean McGurk project didn't work. I remember when he was signed initially, we got him from Wigan and he was a really exciting prospect and you thought to yourself, this is going to be a good one. Leo Yelder, I've always come on this channel and said to you guys that I'm really excited to see Leo Yelder, but against Shrewsbury, against Cardiff, I believe it was, he didn't really take his chance, although I don't think he's really had a chance at maybe centre-back, which I'd like to see. I like to have seen with him, and not only that, but I think Sunderland have a real keen eye for young players. You know, we've seen a lot of players go there. Try Hume's probably the trailblazer at this moment in time, who's going to go for big money. Jack Clark, another one who no one was willing to take a punt on. So I do think it's a good move for Leo Yelder. Sunderland, they've got a data filled model, and they're trying to do what Brentford are trying to do really, and they're getting some decent success with it, really, when you look at their league sort of standings over the past 3 years. So, yeah, disappointed to see Yelder go, but I think overall it would have been hard for Leeds, and I keep saying this to everybody, for Leeds to have sold the project, you're selling the bench. Now, the interesting part of all this is the fact that Leeds were essentially trying as well to get a centre-back. And we all know that Chris Mepham, you know, when you look at Joe Worrell, when you're looking at Ben Godfrey, Ben Johnson as well, which went on for a while. Obviously, we're probably looking at him to fit into that centre-back mould. But you did look at the reintroduction of Charlie Cresswell. And maybe you thought to yourself, well, this is going to give us a little bit of insurance, I should say, when it comes to really panicking for a centre-back. So let's get into a couple of your comments. Adam, a shout out to one of the YouTube members here, says, in truth, I've been sensible for once, not panicking, not bringing in players for no reason, bringing in a good signing and getting some of the fringe players off the books. I don't think you're wrong there, mate. I really don't. Good morning, Connor. How are you, Ronnie? How do we feel about Roberts just joined? Yeah, I said, listen, I'm not going to double down. At the start of the window, I said Connor Roberts would be a really nice sort of replacement for Luke Ayling. I said it'd be a nice replacement for Luke Ayling. I kind of always wanted to keep hold of Jed. I'm not denying that. In terms of a football player, I don't really know what went on behind the scenes when it came to Jed Spence. We're hearing more and more every single day, really. But I am a massive fan of what Connor Roberts can bring this side, and I think it becomes experience, it becomes leadership. But a lot of what we found out last night with those things that can't really be measured quantitatively, it's he wants to be at this club. And I found it really interesting when he was doing his interview afterwards. I don't know if any of you caught this, but he said, I want to be here, and I'm at this club on loan for the minute. For the minute. That's what he said. So that's interesting. Maybe Leeds and Burnley have already had a conversation that if this works, if this is a match made in heaven, Leeds are going to make this a permanent signing. You know, there's a prospect of Leeds going up to the Premier League. But I think that signing in particular, you know, he's not been a feature really for Vincent Kompany. He's not getting any younger. If Leeds are to even remain in the Championship, touch wood, that doesn't happen. But if we are, I think Connor Roberts would be a realistic addition. He seems to be very, very happy to be at Leeds. He mentioned as well, which I thought was nice, that him and his mates have spoken about almost what club they'd love to be at and what club they think would be great for Connor Roberts in terms of a next club. And he's always said he'd love to play for Leeds. He then mentioned us up in the you know, when it came to atmospheric grounds he's been to. I know he's saying all the right things, everybody. We know this. Every signing says that. But I do think with Roberts, there was a little bit of an extra verve. And I think it was mentioned that he was asked about the Cardiff players, the Welsh players, and what does that mean? Would you have signed for Leeds? It wasn't a direct question, but it was almost sort of uttered to him that, you know, the Welsh players made a big influence on you coming. He said, well, yeah, it's great to have people there. You know, we can bed in, we can be a part of it together. But overall, I'd have still moved to Leeds United. And it's footballers, isn't it? We know he's going to move, but overall, that was nice to hear. I like that. You know, it's a little bit of extra. It's like, okay, well, this guy's here for the right purpose, and I do believe he's going to give it his all. Of course, he is. You know, we all know that, but I think Connor Roberts is going to be able to bring some quality as well. He's a decent addition at this level. Once again, we'll question it again when it comes to the Premier League. Would I have liked Leeds to have done a little bit of long-term planning in this window? Yeah. I would. I think we're going to be, whether or not we're in the Premier League or in the Championship, I think it's going to be difficult for Leeds in the summer to really transition all of that. I've mentioned it last night, but we've got players coming back into the fold. We're going to have players going out. We've got contracts running out. We've got, if we are to remain in the Championship, lots of players. There's going to be turnover. But even if we go to the Premier League, there's going to be a lot of turnover regardless. So I do think it's going to be a lot to do in the summer, and I wanted that sort of regeneration to begin now. But they have deemed it necessary, which is fine. You know, which is fine. They've shedded the wage bill, which I think is good. They're not in any sort of financial peril or predicament. They've only gone down the stance of loans in this window, which they've stuck to the guns throughout. They've tried Godfrey, Davis, Johnson, Mepham, Worrell. They've tried, and obviously they tried with Josh Doig at the start, according to significant reports, but it's not quite worked for them. However, they have got a signing in, and the signing has got a bag full of experience there, so you can't really complain when it comes to that. Hi, Amanda. I feel like Connor Roberts is the most excited loanee we've ever signed. Definitely sounded like he's here to impress and potentially stay. Yeah, he did. I was really sort of enthused with listening to him. It did give you a bit of vigor, didn't it? You thought to yourself, okay, all right, this guy likes this. This guy's up for it, you know. And I do think the Welsh lads make a little bit of a difference. Hi, Connor, you okay, mate? All good, Bal? All good. Keep getting your comments in, everybody. Interested to hear what you guys have to say. Ryan's back. How you, Ryan? Thank it's over. Constant crying for new toys from people or window is draining. Yeah, and I get that, Ryan. I understand that, and I understand where you're coming from with that. But I sort of mentioned this. Cheers, Jack. Yeah, I hope it's looked a little bit better. By the way, I've just spent a lot of money on a new lens, so I'm hoping the camera setup looks a little bit better. A lot of money. As I say, guys, when you donate to the channel, you know, some creators will just use it for holidays or whatever, which is fair enough. It's their predicament. It's their money. But I will always be investing it in the channel. Hence why I'm skint and just investing in cameras and settings and microphones and all this sort of good stuff. So thanks for that. I'm happy it looks decent. But yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. I think there's been a lot of hysteria around this window, but I think we all live in this Twitter universe where we think that's reality. Twitter's not reality. It's not the real world. And I've been to 3 games this month, 3 Leeds United games. I've been very fortunate to get to them, which I know a lot of fans can't, but I've been very fortunate to get to them. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are fans of the channel, but just over a coffee or over a pint, I've spoken to a lot of fans, and they are saying the same thing, you know. It's not... The Leeds fans at this moment in time have not been irrational. We've got a very good squad. We should be in part of that 3, 100%, no matter what. Ipswich should not be finishing above Leeds United. I don't care what head start they've had. We have a much stronger squad even after the window. And overall, we need 1 or 2. Max, someone said 3, really, that I've spoken with. 3 players. But I don't think there's been a lot of hysteria. I think as a fan base, we naturally look at Twitter and think, that's real. It's not real life. It really isn't. And that's coming from someone who is a content creator. So I think the majority of Leeds fans are very, very realistic with what's happened. And for me, it's been an okay window. I think we mentioned it last night that the big thing is not losing Somerville. The big thing's not losing Nonto. A big thing's not losing Rutter. A big thing's not, you know, seeing Joe Rodon for whatever reason be recalled to Tottenham. I know we're all panicking a little bit at the start of the window because Spurs had lost 400 of the defenders. You know, big thing's not seeing interest for players like Ethan Ampadu. A big thing's Jaden Anthony not going back, especially with what he showed in the FA Cup. So I think a lot of it is, you know, we've slashed the wage bill, but a big thing is keeping hold of a lot of these players that are going to be Premier League footballers one day, regardless of if they're there with Leeds United. Yeah, I know, mate. I know that, Michael. Shout out to you, mate. I really appreciate that. January isn't the month for future signings. Disagree with that. I think you can still get decent signings in Jan. Right, but cheers for the camera's clean comment, mate. I think we're going to disagree until the cows come home, fella, but I appreciate you tuning in. The summer clear out happened this window. Whether we're promoted or not, they're prepared early. That's what I'm seeing. Fair enough, Joe. Yeah, and you're sort of lining up with Rye there with what you're saying. Fair enough. We don't have enough depth, says Mike. Very worried if we get injuries with Firpo, Bamford, and Byram. We will. Mike, what's everyone's thoughts on that in the comment section? What's everyone's thoughts on that from a business perspective, Mike? I was of the opinion at the start that we needed sort of 2 or 3. And I'm not going to back down on that because I still think the squad needs improving. I mean, you look at just that squad in general for the long term, you probably need a new striker. Maybe you need competition for a cam. But obviously, if Archie can slot in there and you've got Connor Roberts now as a right back, you don't really need a cam, in my opinion, as strenuously as he did at the start. Because then Archie might be able to push a little bit forward into an advanced 8 role and compete a little bit with Rutter. But if Rutter was injured, you know, you've got Gray who can slot in there a little bit, in my opinion. If needed, you've got obviously Perot off the bench as well, who pretty much is a cam. But overall, you're probably looking at a centre-back, which I still think we desperately need. We might need 2 in the summer as well. A left-back for me is needed, and overall, a goalkeeper is needed. So for me, I still think, and I'm not looking for perfection here, but I do think there is still, I still think this team does need improving overall. However, right now, with how the team's going, I have got to take a step back and listen. Coming on here and saying, I think we have a strange sort of online thing nowadays, and I think it has been sort of bolstered up by sort of Arsenal Fan TV and you know, all the Goldbridge and co. We've had both on the channel before, of saying these like mental things and reacting in like a crazy way to almost just like prop up those views. But I think you know, how I was going about it at the start of the window, as you guys know, is not for that purpose. I come on here really concerned when it comes to Leeds. This is how I am in everyday life when it comes to this club. And I wasn't coming on here and hysterically looking for views by saying and likes and all this sort of stuff by showing my immediate concern of the squad and saying, look, it's threadbare. It is threadbare. So I still maintain that standpoint. But at this moment in time, the vibe of the side, the short-term form that we've put together naturally changes your ideas about it a little bit, you know? It does change your idea about it. You think to yourself, okay, well, you know, a little bit of confidence, all those things that you can't really measure in football, those confidence, those immeasurables have drastically increased. The form, how good we look at home, you know, can we increase that consistency away from home? That would be nice. But Leeds have changed over the last month. You know, the consistency's been there by player selection, really, when you look at the core players. But aside from that as well, it's been the form, which has definitely increased. So that has to play into a factor in what they do in January. And I have to take a step back and apologise maybe at points, because maybe, you know, I have been a little bit too gung-ho when it's come to Leeds having to go for certain signings. But I'm certainly not going to come on here and say, you know, I'm start bashing the club because they've not got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 signings. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to come on here and say, I think we need strengthening. I still think we needed more bodies in. But overall, when you look at it, I think with how they've shedded the squad, with how they're looking at this moment in time in terms of form, calibre of side, and an addition like Connor Roberts, you can't really massively complain, in my opinion. Business over football, says Mike. It seems our predicament, i.e. number 9, number 10, left back, centre back, maybe it's a 2-year plan. Yeah, it could be, mate. Small squads make sense. Pointless having a bench that's always down and unhappy, particularly when the team is great spirit. You're right, mate. 100% goalkeeper. Yeah, shout out, Ryan. I've just read what you said, mate. Just read what you've said. Rafa was bought in Jan. He was, Brandon. That was a nice long-term one, wasn't it? It'd be nice to put on a little bit of pressure on Southampton Ipswich win tonight. Yeah, and listen, Leeds can go in the top 2. And this is where it all circles back to everybody. Because I don't want you, and I've said this on multiple streams before, but to lose the focus of what the objective of this season is. No 2-year plan. No 3-year plan when it comes to championship. The objective, the guy in charge, the objective, the players on the pitch, the objective set by the owners is promotion. They've added Connor Roberts. They deem that necessary. We heard Phil Hay say last night that right back was the place that needed filling. If Junior Firpo is to go down injured, Sam comes in, but we know what Sam is like in terms of his availability, his dependability. Catchphrases. The club would probably, in my opinion, siphon maybe Connor Roberts out to left back and put Archie Gray right back, and we're sort of in the similar vein as what we were with Jet Spence. However, now you've got a sort of a little bit more arsenal at the back really there, because you've got Roberts who can play left back. I know it's not an ideal scenario and he's bought as a right back, but at this moment in time, you've got a player who can fill in there. You've also got, you know, your Firpos and your Byrams. So you've not really lost anything at all. So that's a positive in a sense. But the club started out this window sort of, they felt a bit obsessed with the left back. They then haven't done that. And they've now gone and bought a right back, and that was a priority. I still think a centre-back was a priority for them as well, but left-back seems to have gone into the background with what's happened with Junior Firpo. It's a difficult one for the club because they can't just go out and buy a left-back and displace Junior Firpo with the form that he's having. However, the long-term view for someone like me would be I'd want a different left-back to Junior Firpo. So the club have got to work around that anyway, and I'm sure the club are thinking that anyway. But right now, if Firpo is to become injured, and he does get injured for long periods of time normally, I agree with a lot of you. There's a flip side to the coin where, you know, Firpo's in form now, he's doing well. But there is a flip side of the coin that if he is to be injured, we know Byram is very, very fleeting as well when it comes to availability. So yeah, I completely agree with a lot of what you guys are saying in terms of dependability and reliability and players being available. I agree. I completely agree, because you're all right. But all this comes back, and it will all come back at the end of the season on the boss, because the team is more than good enough to get promoted. More than good enough. So that's how I'm viewing it right now. The situation is that we would all love 3 great position per position. Yeah, I agree, mate. Then that's not life. That isn't life. 2 out of 10. Michael says, Connor, it took Bielsa 2 seasons to get out of the Championship. Bielsa first season was a failure to get promotion. I think the difference is, Michael, Marcelo Bielsa was working with Kim Aroof, Jack Clark, who was very decent. He was working with Liam Cooper at the very beginning, Luke Ayling at the very beginning, Samuel Saiz. He was working with a very substandard squad. A very substandard squad. So we can't really compare, and I've never compared Bielsa really directly with Farke, because Farke's squad's much better. Much, much better. He's geared for promotion. You know, Bielsa didn't have a 25, 30, 35 million pound potential 3 assets in his side when he was at Leeds. He worked wonders to improve players. Farke's not had to improve players really, because the players who were there are already exceptional for this level. So yeah, I do think there's a bit of context that needs to be taken in. If Firpo plays well all season and stays fit, I'd still sell him at the end of the season. Not good enough for a step up. Yeah, I'd agree with that, right? Just in terms of his stock would be quite high. Loftus Farke is the man. Bielsa polished a turd. Yeah. KP last night. We paid an undisclosed fee for McGurk. Developed him for 3 years and let him go on a free. Yeah, I don't think it's really worked, has it, with a lot of the youth lads? You can't really put it on it, you know. I mean, when you're looking at like Gelhardt, Greenwood, all the promising ones that were brought in. McGurk was a promising one as well, wasn't he? All these players that were brought in, you are sort of looking and thinking you probably expected like a little nicer of a churn, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. Stephen Mayer, this is a big point as well with what Steve's saying. We're getting new head of recruitment, I believe, from Aberdeen, aren't we, Connor? We are, mate. And he's coming in the summer. And it was a bit weird for me that, I don't know about you guys, but it was a bit weird for me that he didn't come in almost straight away. It was right at the beginning of the window, and then it was almost like, oh, he will come in the summer. And it was like, oh, okay, not coming in now. But it is a lot to do, and there'll have been plans put in place by Leeds United for this window. So, you know, you've got to take that into consideration. But I'm really happy with that. He's got a very, 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 very exciting reputation. Data-led model. We know the San Francisco 49ers are going to put a lot into that. I think Brentford were the perfect example of that, of how they've almost got a betting company to elevate their sort of analysis on and off the pitch, really. If Leeds can replicate that in some sort of way, that'd be amazing. I know the previous owners always spoke about replicating that data-led model. And it sounds obvious because every model's data-led. Every model's numerical, quantitative, of course. But it's got a little bit more to it. And I think the 49ers are very, 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 very canny people. Very canny people. And I'm fully expecting the summer window, regardless, to be ruthless and full of quality. The window we had at the start was very, very good. He's very good when you look back at it now and look at the analysis. The players, once again, that we kept. Rutter, when we had £29 million bid from Dortmund. You look at Somerville, when there was a 25 million bid from Burnley. You look at Nonso, when there was a 30 million plus bid from Everton. They're all rejected. You know, all rejected from what we know. So very, very good window. And then the players that were brought in have all been very, 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 very good. Probably the exception of Jay Anthony. Yeah. Has really made his mark. But you saw the quality of him at the weekend. So the window was really good. The January window, I agree with what Rise said. There's not a lot of clubs that like doing business in January. That's what we've got to bear in mind here. They don't like doing business. It's a horrible window. We watched the Amazon documentary years and years ago, and they hate doing it. They hate making strategic decisions for that month. They really, really do. It's a lot of risk with a lot less when it comes to reward as well. Let's look at Ipswich. Ali brought in from Wimbledon. Kiefer Moore brought in from Bournemouth. Travis brought in from Blackburn. Sarmiento brought in from Brighton. Are Ipswich a better side than Leeds now? Nah, nowhere near. I like that. I think they brought in some decent profiles that have Ipswich have improved. this window. They have improved. But is the squad on the same level with Leeds United? No, it's not for me. But they have. You know, we're rating this window. That's what we've got to look at. Have the rivals improved? I don't think Leicester have. Sensi fell through last night, which is a big blow for them. Rothwell brought in for Southampton. They've improved just centrally, I think. Not let any players go, apart from obviously Alcaraz, where, you know, they've made a massive profit. They're a huge, huge profit for him. So they probably improved a little bit. But Leeds have as well. So I think the team really that has not drastically, but they've improved significantly when it comes to profiles is Ipswich. But it's still not good enough for me to compete with this Leeds side. Brandon, new member of the channel. Shout out to you, my friend. Membership's £2 a month, everybody. Gets you a nice little green emoji. You get a custom emoji and you get read out before anybody else. And we are going to start bringing specific things to the YouTube membership as well. Michael, thanks so much for your donation, buddy. How well do you think Ampadu will do at the end of the season at centre-back? And will Gruev play more regularly? Have you been surprised with him? Yeah, massive fan of Gruev. I think Gruev's brought something a little bit different in terms of getting the ball and moving it quickly. I always think left footers have it a little bit sweet as well when it comes to distribution. But what I like is with Elia Gruev is he opens his body immediately. I think we've had too many problems in central midfield where what you naturally get with central midfielders after playing there my entire life is, and at a decent level, I will say, is a lot of people who, when the ball comes into them, they'll close the body off. They'll go towards the ball, towards the player who's passed them the ball. And they'll do that because maybe they're not confident, but they'll do that as well in sections because there's maybe only one avenue. There's only one avenue back to the player who's fed you the ball. That can happen a lot of times from throw-ins when you're under a little bit of pressure. But when the pressure's on you to open your body up a little bit, that's when you can get caught. The beauty about what Elia Gruev does a lot of the time is he doesn't close his body in central midfield. The most pressurised position on the field, in my opinion, the engine room. He opens his body and he always looks to pass that ball. And he can invert that ball when it comes to his body positioning, so he can cross-field it on his left foot or he can spray it out wide. He's always got his body open. His feet, directionally, positionally, are always 10 to 2. Opens his body up, sprays the ball. I like it. I think if that's your number one, if that's in your head all the time to open your body up, feet at 10 to 2, and you're able to do that under pressure, listen, you've got all the right attributes for a Premier League footballer there, especially in midfield. It's top that, and Elia Gruev does that a lot. Ampadu's an interesting one. I don't want him at centre-back for the long term, and that's why Leeds have gone for a centre-back as well throughout this window. I would always look at having two centre-backs. I think Pascal's been brilliant this window. This season. I think there's been a lot of improvements in his game as well. And I think there's a nice balance between him being the proactive one, bringing the ball out from the back, and Rodon almost being that coverer with a little bit more recovery speed. So I'm a massive fan of their dynamic. I don't think that should be interrupted. I think we look a lot more dangerous from corners going forward as well. I know Ampadu scored a header from a corner, but Struijk scored 6 goals this season. But I also think defensively we look a lot more resolute with a big defender in there with someone like Pascal Struijk. So I think he should be going straight back into the midfield. Morning, everybody who's just joined. Jan is a terrible window. There is a lot of risk and potentially not much reward. We saw that with our signings last January. That's exactly right, Jay. You know, we brought in, what was it, McKennie? I'm trying to think of the others. Get the players in the description below. I've literally lost it. But McKennie was the one who I remember was brought in with sort of a week to go, and gee whiz, there's a reason we beat them twice. Adam says, thing is with Ipswich is, do the players they brought in also perform better in their system? Time will tell. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of questions. It sounds like Maresca is not happy. If they get dragged into it, it could turn big time. They're already not content. Yeah, I think, is it 12 points ahead of us now? But yeah, I mean, there is still a lot of time left, mate. Jamie, hi, Jamie. Our first 11 is more than good enough. It is real quality. Nice to see some smart business with Connor Roberts, but with no obligation to buy. Just got to trust Fark. Now we have indeed. Jerry McNamen, hit the like, guys. Great content as always. Yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the rumour mill. We are going to be sort of continuing with the news and all this sort of stuff and discussion points. And we're going to continue this. These streams are going to continue all the time. We're going to get a real schedule when it comes to the debrief. Hopefully do things in person as well, live. So yeah, the content is continuing. So please make sure you subscribe. We will be doing a watch long tonight if you want to join in as well. We're going to be doing an instant match reaction, but the instant match reaction is going to be a little bit different. If you want your say tonight, please join. And we will be going live straight after the match with a new sort of segment called Radio 1 Leeds, where it is going to be you guys coming in and having your say after the match as well. So make sure you tune in tonight if you want your say. Great content, an amazing inspiration to a small content creator, mate. Yeah, shout out to Michael. Michael's got his own channel as well. Make sure you shout that out. Thank you, buddy. JK, yeah, I forgot about that. Christ alive. Yeah, Rutter. Yeah, Rutter as well. It's not been a bad addition. Verba wasn't a bad addition, was he? Let's be honest. Is Archie and Dan back tonight? Archie is, Dan isn't, mate. What we started with this summer and what we've done is amazing. We've a good chance of top 2. Agreed. Right, so let's get into the starting 11, everybody, that I'm going to be going for tonight. So straight away, let's look at the men that are not going to be available. So obviously Dan James isn't going to be available for this evening's game. It's confirmed that Crescencio Somerville and Archie Gray are going to be fit for this one, but it looks like obviously Pascal is going to be out. Dan, and we know Carl Darlow and Stuart Dallas are going to be out for this one. So get your comments in the section below in terms of your score prediction, everybody, but also your predicted Leeds team. What would you be going with this morning? I'm going to be going with an Ilan Meslier in net. Reasoning behind that is because I think, yeah, it's Ilan Meslier, isn't it? We've kind of got to keep him at this moment in time at the back. It's going to be interesting when it comes to Roberts and the dynamic between him and Archie Gray going forward. But I'm obviously sticking with Archie Gray. He's ineligible for this game when it comes to Roberts anyway. Back two, I am going to go with Rodon and Ampadu. I think they have been very, very good together. There seems to be a real understanding, which I'm really excited to see, by the way, the understanding of Roberts and Rodon, because they're going to be on that right side together, which if you're on that right-hand side together, you played internationally together as well, which is great. It'll be nice to see how they develop as a partnership. As well, everyone, I'm going to go at the back line. I'm going to go with Junior Firpo. Gruev Kamara in the midfield for me. Anthony is going to replace Dan James, and I'm going to go with Rutter, Somerville, and Bamford. Everyone, absolute pleasure. Please make sure you get your comments in the section below. 3-1, 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, another one, 3-0 win, 2-0. Leeds fan potentially, mate, in the future. Yeah, who knows? But please make sure you slap a like on the video before you leave. If you want bonus content, head on over. Shout out to Brett, who became a member the other day as well, to the Patreon. We'll be doing a full debrief, really, of the Rumour Generation Leeds with my old man on. You saw my old man for the first time last night in quite a while, everybody. We'll be doing a podcast today on everything Leeds, the window roundup and previewing the game tonight. Make sure you head on over there. Tonight, as I've said plenty of times, Leeds United, Connor McGilligan will be back with some combined content. It is the watch along. As I say, we'll be doing some content where we get your views in immediately after the game. So join me instantly after the game as well. We'll have the 3 things that we learned as well after the game, your player ratings and all that beautiful stuff. It's an absolute pleasure, guys. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.